You see why we are so enamored with the Katie Porters and the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Ilmar Omar? They know how to get the message that they want to get to you in front of a camera. I want to show you the secretary that used to be the neurologist. He went on CNBC and he said, oh, Katie Porter, I didn't understand what she was saying. She wasn't clear. That is the reason I answered the question about Oreo instead of REO and all that kind of stuff. Here's what she did. She knew she was going to be interviewed on TV. She knew that these segments last between 1.5 minutes and 3 minutes. She knew that. So what Katie Porter did is Katie Porter was ready to answer Ali Velshi's questions, but she wasn't only ready to have that, she was read in what the secretary put out there in the ethos, and she was ready to refute it even though Ali Velshi did not ask her. She was ready to bring the facts on. And this is why I love these young progressive Democrats that are coming in. Ilmar Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Talib, and the other one from New York. But check this out.
Let's turn to another moment in your committee, in front of your committee, that's made some news. During an exchange with the Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Ben Carson, you personally, he was talking to you, he appeared not to understand a basic housing term called real estate owned, which unfortunately is going to be all too familiar to a number of Americans who lost their house in foreclosure. Let's just listen to the exchange.
I'd also like you to get back to me, if you don't mind, to explain the disparity in REO rates. Do you know what an REO is?
An Oreo?
No, not an Oreo. An REO. REO.
Real estate?
What's the O stand for?
E, organization.
Owned. Real estate owned.
Somebody owned. Somebody.
What do you make of that, though? Because Carson said he was having trouble hearing you. What's your takeaway after having had that exchange yesterday?
I'm sorry, but respectfully, I was very clear in my words. I was using the term REO, and when he couldn't hear me or I thought he was mishearing me, I took pains to politely correct him to spell out the acronym REO. I asked him at that point to be sure we were on the same page so that we could have a productive conversation if he knew what an REO was, and he gave the incorrect answer. An REO is not an organization. It's not a real estate organization. That's not correct. So for Mr. Carson to now go on TV today and say that I'm the one who doesn't know what's going on and he'd be happy to inform me is frankly very rich. I spent more than 10 years in the trenches working with families who were facing foreclosure, listening to their stories, and I want Mr. Carson to take this problem very seriously. He still does not have his facts straight. In his statement today on Fox Business, he claimed that FHA forecloses very quickly when it sells properties very quickly. It does not. The typical time from when FHA forecloses on a property to when that property is stopped being vacant, for when that property is returned to being a habitable home, is over 500 days. So the reality is, in the last 24 hours, while he may have learned what an REO is, he has not learned what's going on at FHA and what he needs to do to lead it successfully.
Representative Katie Porter of California, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
I want you to get an understanding of what that woman just did. People would just look at it as, okay, she answered the question. But you look at other Democrats who have answered the questions, they would have answered Ali Velshi, and that's it. This woman did 3 things. 1, she immediately answered the question quickly. 2nd, she went ahead and pointed out all the places where this guy went over to the CNBC and lied, and she corrected the lie. And 3rd, she gave a narrative, and her narrative, this congresswoman, was out there in the field. I saw the people's real pain, and to have a secretary who is not feeling the pain of the people, how can he be competent? So this woman went ahead and laid it out perfectly. Democrats, that's how you do an interview. You answer the question quickly, you correct the misinformation, and then you create the narrative. And creating that narrative is what brings other people onto you, and it makes sure that they see the fallacies coming from the other side, and they see not only that, the incompetence from the other side. Friends, please click the button here and subscribe to the channel. That is how we get the message out.